What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Rats Report. It is time to talk about the Toronto Raptors because we've got some fun news to discuss with you today, particularly about Brandon Ingram and his future with the Toronto Raptors. But the Raptors also announced a couple of signings as well. We'll be breaking all of that down for you in today's video. So if you're ready to watch, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel, and the shout out for today's video goes out to the Kumar. So thank you so much for supporting this channel through your likes and comments. It is very much appreciated. Now, Sam Amico was reporting that the Raptors' Brandon Ingram talking contract extension. Now, I find this very, very interesting because obviously a lot of people were worried when the Raptors traded for Brandon Ingram. One of the things I told a lot of people not to worry about was the fact that he may walk in free agency. That's just not going to happen. You have to consider what the market looks like out there and how many teams actually have cap space to pay Brandon Ingram 30 plus million dollars, let alone 35, So just looking at the numbers of a lot of teams, they don't have cap space, which gives the Raptors the perfect opportunity to sign Brandon Ingram. Now, of course, the big question with a lot of fans will be, what is that number going to look like? Because we know what Brandon Ingram made this past season. He obviously wanted a major raise as well. And I highlighted that in my previous video. That I think, strictly speaking of Brandon Ingram, I do think the number will be closer to Scotty Barnes as opposed to someone like Emmanuel Quickly, because when you compare the players, who is Brandon Ingram closer to? Is he closer to the tier of Emmanuel Quickly, or would you put him closer to the tier of Scotty Barnes, which I mean, let's be honest, he's closer to Scotty Barnes than he is to Emmanuel Quickly. So he's probably going to be getting closer to the type of money that Scotty Barnes got. Maybe not in terms of 4 or 5 years. It could be a shorter contract, but in terms of how much he's going to make per season, that's where it gets interesting and tricky as well, right? Because I personally think it's going to be at least, at the very least, 39, $40 million as a starting point. And it probably could make its way up to 42, $43 million. Do not be surprised, because when you consider the team, who's the top two players on this team, it would be Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram. So I do believe he's going to be making close to that amount of money. Which, look, I've highlighted in my previous videos. You guys did not like it, which is completely fine, and it's okay to disagree. I think that's one of the more important things to realize, that regardless who it is, whether it's me or another YouTuber, you may like, it's okay to disagree with takes as long as we're respectful. I think that's the most important thing. But we got to talk about the next player we have here with the Toronto Raptors, because this was exciting and a player that deserves a new contract. Now, this was no other than Jamison Battle. We knew he was on a two-way contract, and we did get news about 2-3 days ago about his extending with the Toronto Raptors to a 3-year standard contract, but we didn't know the details. That is up until today, and that was Michael Scotto. Shout out to him for reporting that the Toronto Raptors signed Jamison Battle to a 3-year, $5.25 million deal, which is fully guaranteed this season, is 50% guaranteed for the next season, and is non-guaranteed for the 2026-27 season. League sources told Hoops Hype he's shooting 42.1% on three-pointers this season. Now, I don't know about you guys. I was actually expecting the number to be a little bit higher, just considering when you talk about undrafted guys that get signed just out of college, a lot of those guys make anywhere from $2 million to $3 million a season. And for Jamison Battle to have whatever half a season into the NBA, we've seen what he's capable of doing. And the fact that the Raptors signed him for, less than $2 million, or if my math is correct, just a little under $2 million per season. And not only that, but 50% of the salary is guaranteed in the second and the third season. Honestly, this looks like a very good steal based on the Raptors front office. You got a player here. I want to quickly talk about the stats here. 6'7" guy, 220, a little bit on the older side, 23 years old, but there's some benefits to that, and I'll talk about it in a second. He's averaged 5.4 points a season. And again, I want to reiterate this, only in 12.7 minutes. He's shooting 46% from the field, 42.1% from the three-point line on 3.1 attempts. Also does a great job of hitting his free throws, 85.7%, although very limited attempts on 0.4 attempts a game. And just overall, when you talk about Jamison Battle, he's just someone that provides not only a lot of size, he is someone that's going to make the right play. He's not someone that's necessarily going to fill the stat sheet, but he is someone that makes a right play when you watch the game. He'll, switch on screens. He positions himself well. He makes the reads very well. And this is one of the benefits. When we talk about signing undrafted players, drafting, it's very similar in today's NBA, to be honest. That's the benefit of signing guys that are a little bit on the older side. Some of the older prospects is they're more NBA ready and they're more ready to contribute to the NBA right away, as opposed to someone who's 19 or 20 years old. They're going to take a few years to develop. So personally, I think this is an absolute steal for the Toronto Raptors. For Jamison Battle, the Raptors, let's be honest, aren't great three-point shooting team, aren't a great free throw shooting team, and that is something he provides as well. And just quickly to take a look at his G League statistics as well, kind of give you a bigger sample size of what he's capable of doing when he plays, more minutes, but also a little bit to a lesser talent as well. Again, similar numbers, 54.8%. His three-point shot even a lot more, which is just absolutely insane. 4.9 attempts per game, 55.6% from the three-point line is amazing. 71.4% from the free throw line, so dipped a little bit there. 4 rebounds a game, 1.5 assists, and most importantly, again, 12.6 points for Jamison Battle. But I like the signing. Again, a lot of the things he does on the court don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. So if you're looking at just stat sheet alone, a lot of the things you'll see that he does during the game won't necessarily show up there, but that's okay. You get a high IQ basketball player who I personally believe could be a 6, 7 man off the bench for the Raptors in the near future, and you can still work him in your system, develop him as well. So I really like this signing, but we got to move on to our last signing here, and this is someone I had really predicted to do well for the Toronto Raptors, and this was Orlando Robinson. So it was being reported that the Raptors signed Robinson to a two-way contract. Again, Friday it was reported by Blake Murphy of Sportsnet.ca. After previously signing two 10-day deals with the Raptors, Robinson is now set to split time between the Toronto and his G League affiliate for the remainder of the season. Robinson will likely compete for depth minute in the Raptors front court when he's with the parent club, and this should be no surprise given the fact that Kelly Olynyk got traded. But most importantly, when the Raptors did sign him to the original 10-day contract, I know the term hidden gem gets thrown away very, very loosely, but I did see a lot in him in terms of defensive, in terms of there's a few things you just cannot teach, which is size, wingspan, his length. And I was talking to some fans off of, obviously YouTube offline. When we talk about the Raptors, when was the last time they had a legitimate 7 foot center who was a rim blocker? It's one thing to protect the rim like Jakob Poeltl does. He may not show it on those in terms of block shots, but Robinson is a good shot blocker, but also just the length makes him look so enormous. Now, obviously, he does have some limitations to his game, particularly on the offensive side, which is why a lot of teams did not sign him, and which is, I'm sure, why a team like the Sacramento Kings that values offense so much decided to let him go, because they clearly do not value defense, whereas opposed to someone like the Toronto Raptors, they desperately need depth at the center position, but also they desperately do need defense as well. And Robinson could be a nice player moving forward. Again, I don't want to hype him up too much. He definitely does have limitations to his game, but in terms of defense, in terms of rebounding, he is someone that's going to be important for the Raptors to, not only help us tank, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, you're not going to probably play Jakob Poeltl a lot, whereas Robinson will see more minutes. Again, just considering he'll see more minutes, definitely with Kelly Olynyk no longer being here, but it's a nice signing regardless. But I'm curious to hear what you guys think about a lot of these signings, of course, but also on potential Brandon Ingram contract. Give me a number. I want you guys to give me one number of what you think he'll be getting paid per season starting next year. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, how many seasons did Jamison Battle play in college basketball? Was it A2? Was it B5? Was it C3? Or was it D4? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section gets a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.